So in this video, I'm just going to be reading off some relaxing Reddit stories to help you guys fall asleep while I play some old school Minecraft. With all that being said, let's just jump right into the stories. I, 40 male, am starting to feel like my girlfriend, 40 female, manufactures drama. The problem is I don't know how to work through it with her properly. Just trying to talk to her gets absolutely nowhere. She denies everything and tries to convince me it's my actions that are causing it. In the end, I'm not even sure anymore. I've been with my girlfriend for 3 years now. We have plans to move in together this summer, but so far we see each other a couple times through the week and I generally only go to her place on the weekends. One thing I'm starting to really notice is a pattern. She seems to create drama, if that makes any sense, over basically nothing. Minor misunderstandings, minor inconveniences, stuff like that is what she's creating drama over. I've been in relationships before and I've never experienced this until I was with her. In the recent months, it's been a lot more noticeable because I've had a lot of stress in my life. My brother and my dad passed away this summer. I suppose that kind of increases my stress levels. I suppose I've noticed it more because any additional stress, especially over minor things, raises my already high stress levels from life. Just to give a little bit of context here, it's stuff like this. My girlfriend and I were staying at her parents for 3 days. They live 2 hours away from where we live. My other brother lives out there too, and I always had plans to visit him at his house and attend a family get-together of sorts on the second day. It's our first holiday without our dad and my other brother, so we wanted to spend an evening together, just the two of us. My girlfriend also couldn't come as she had her own family gathering planned for the same evening. No issues, no stress, or so I thought. The first day was absolutely great. I spent all day with her family and even helped out around the house. The second day, I left around dinner time to go to my brother's. I didn't know exactly how late I'd be, but I didn't expect to be that late. At 9 p.m., I texted my girlfriend and told her I'd be home probably around 11 p.m. My girlfriend responded and said, "Can't you just sleep there? I'm going to sleep and I don't want to be my dad waiting up for you." I said I'd rather come back that night, but she didn't answer, so I asked my brother if I could stay over and he got me set up for the night. For context, my girlfriend is a total night owl and never goes to bed before midnight, so I never thought it would be any issue for me to come home at 11 o'clock. Also, I know her enough by now to know that this response was passive aggressive, but I don't know why she'd be annoyed at me in the first place. Around 11:30 at night, she texted me saying she hasn't fallen asleep yet, so I could come home if I wanted to. Well, by then I was already in bed. I told her I'd be back in the morning and she gave me a cold response just saying fine. The next morning was a really hard one for my brother. He was experiencing a lot of sadness, I guess due to the holiday season. So I stayed and sat back with my brother just talking and having coffee over the next hour. At about 10 a.m. I texted my girlfriend saying I was on my way back to her. When I got there, she was annoyed with me because her mom had gone through the trouble of making us breakfast and I didn't show up on time for the breakfast. I didn't even know we were supposed to be having breakfast, and again, for some more context, there were several other people there too. So really, it wouldn't matter if there was breakfast or not because the breakfast was going to get eaten whether I was there or not. I just include this for context. It's not the specific incident, but a pattern of this type of thing happened consistently with her. Sometimes I feel like I'm walking on eggshells because things that I don't think will be an issue at all end up annoying her. I don't mean to paint her as awful. She isn't, and I truly do love her. I'm just looking for some help or insight. Would you guys say this sounds like we have poor communication? If so, what steps can I take so we can improve our communication? I feel so confused at times that I don't even know what the root issue is. I end up replaying these situations in my head. I admit the stress of everything seems to cause me to ruminate more a lot lately. I'm trying to figure out exactly what the issue is and I can never figure it out. So maybe someone outside of this can give me a suggestion. She wants me to always give her an exact time, and if I'm even a little late, she'll get upset with me. But for her, time doesn't mean much. If she tells me she'll be ready around noon, it's more like she'll be ready around 1:30 p.m. I don't get mad because that really doesn't bother me. I just can't understand any of this. So one of the responses that I'm reading says, "My guess is that she has an underlying resentment and or dissatisfaction towards you that's been brewing. Any perceived transgression on your part turns into an opportunity for her to feel righteously angry at you." A different response: "To be blunt, you and your girlfriend have some major communication problems. It's not uncommon for people to create drama in their relationships, but it's important to nip it in the butt before things really get out of hand. Have you tried talking to her about her behavior and how it makes you feel? It's important to try to understand where she's coming from and really listen to each other. If you and her can just chill and have an honest conversation, it will help you both understand each other better and work through your issues. Just remember to try and stay cool and don't get defensive if she nitpicks at you." Yeah, I kind of agree that it is pretty toxic to feel like you're kind of walking on eggshells when you're around someone in a relationship, so I feel like that's a situation you want to get out of. At a very minimum, you definitely need to have a conversation with your partner to kind of sort things out and figure out what the actual issue is. But I'm not gonna lie, if I were to guess, I think she's just done with the relationship. She's emotionally checked out, but she doesn't want to break up, which is why she's still there. Okay, moving on to the next Reddit story. "I'm hiding a secret from my partner that feels too late to tell. I, 27 female, and my partner, 27 male, have been together for 5 years now. I will give a rough timeline here. This is a messy situation, and I'm not proud of who I was back then. It's okay to like sex and be free, but I truly regret how everything has come to be. At the time, back in 2020, my ex Troy introduced me to my friend Zion with the intention of us hooking up. Zion and I hooked up over the course of maybe 2 to 3 weeks until Troy Troy admitted he had feelings for me and could not watch this happen anymore. Later on, Troy and I started dating, and the three of us stayed friends despite Zion and I previously having hooked up together. We realized that me and Zion were actually really great friends, and I thought we were mature enough to have moved past that. There was absolutely no funny business while I was dating Troy. Zion introduced me to his friends, and we all became great friends. Troy and I broke up about 6 to 7 months after. Zion was a consistent friend for me through the breakup. Still, absolutely no funny business happened except for one weeknight, but other than that, back to the business. I was also still close to the friend group even after breaking up with Troy. Maybe a month or two after I broke up with Troy, I met my current partner, Dan. I didn't date him for another 6 months as I was still a mess, but I introduced him to my entire friend group, which included Zion. We have now all been friends for years together. Recently, I found out that Zion has been making sexual comments about me behind my back for years. Everyone finds it uncomfortable, and it became enough that one of my friends finally told me. Personally, I didn't feel the need to tell Dan about Zion and I's previous relationship because it was a short relationship and it was before I met Dan. Also, me and Zion were platonic friends for months and then years with nothing to it. But now I find out that Zion has been disrespecting me and my relationship for so long, it makes me feel incredibly bad. It feels like it's too late to tell Dan, but I'm worried of the outcome. If Dan finds out about our relationship, I believe our relationship is going to end, and I am absolutely terrified of that happening. It most likely won't come out now, but the guilt is eating me alive. I feel so selfish because maybe I only want to tell him now to appease my own guilt. Dan has also become great friends with these people, and to find out everyone knew but him will absolutely destroy him. Also, I just want to make it clear that Zion is no longer my friend after finding this out. The other people in the friend group also no longer want to be his friend, both because of this and other reasons. Zion is done and over in my life, but what should I do about Dan? Okay, so one of the response on this says, personally, I think you need to sit him down and just explain it to him and help him feel as comfortable as possible. If I was your partner, I would want to know, and I also would be a little upset that I wasn't told to begin with. Given that these relationships happened when you were very young, at the end of the day, if I was in Dan's position, I wouldn't leave because I realized it was all just early teen stuff. Now, if I met my partner at 35 years old and she hit it for 5 years, I'd nope the hell out of it quickly. But also, I'm not Dan and he's not me, so who knows what the actual outcome will be. So I kind of completely agree with this person's response. I feel like in this situation, it's always better to just be completely honest and open with your partner in all situations. And I also feel like even like, okay, Dan might be a little bit upset that you didn't tell him to begin with, but it'll definitely be better for the relationship in the long run if this is a serious relationship. So yeah, in my opinion, secrets, especially in a relationship, like two people, is just never a good idea. I would try to bring it up to him at some point. And yeah, I don't know. That's my 2 cents on that. Okay, so my wife has 2 hours of alarms are pushing me to my breaking point. So me, 32 female, and my wife, 30 female, have very different work schedules. She works a normal 8 to 5 while I don't start my shifts until 12:30 or 1:30 most days. Okay, I'm just shipping in. I don't think 8 to 5 is a normal work schedule. Isn't it a 9 to 5? I'm a little confused. Okay, back to the start. I've woken up around 6 a.m. every weekday because she sets alarms starting then and runs on until after 8. She usually doesn't get to work until 8:30 or 9, even though she's supposed to start at 8. Her boss doesn't care as long as she gets there, plus she does very good at her job. Throughout the course of our 9-year relationship, I have genuinely considered breaking up because of this. Maybe that's crazy, but it's the lack of consideration that is just mind-boggling to me. Like, she needs a system to wake up, so it's just too bad that it's awful for me. It's not just one alarm that's snooze either. It's a multiple alarms, so like one at 6, one at 6:15, one at 6:20, one at 6:30, all the way through until 8:20. The worst part is they don't even wake her up. They just wake me up and I have to tell her every time that her alarm is going off. It's important for me to mention we're both night owls, but she stays up later than I do despite working earlier. Personally, I have a sleeping disorder that I suffer from with frequent nightmares resulting in poor sleep, and I'm an extremely light sleeper. She's also a very heavy sleeper, so I'm woken up and then bothered roughly every 5 to 8 minutes by alarms due to the convo of snoozed ones. Usually, I will end up being the one to finally get her to wake up, which can bother me a lot, and it really does bug me. It has been years of this, I just can't do it anymore. I've talked with her about it, and she just says that it's hard for her to wake up, and it's not like I have to be up until later, as if my poor sleep doesn't affect the rest of my day. I've considered just sleeping in a different room, but that upsets her, and frankly, I don't think I should have to move bedrooms to get better sleep. I doubt she'd wear a smartwatch, so I don't think a vibrating alarm will work. Moving her alarm across the room won't do anything, as the alarms don't wake her up. Please, if you have any advice to offer, please let me know. Okay, so one of the responses to this says this: why do you care that she'd be upset if you slept in a different room? She will keep the alarms the way that they are since they are enabling the system by waking her up every time. Allow her to figure out a way to wake herself up. She's an adult. Your job is to prioritize your physical health and mental health, not being her human alarm clock. If you can save the relationship by sleeping in a different room, why not do it? Either you break it off and she has to wake up on her own, or you sleep in another room and she also has to wake up on her own. Be firm about it. Be prepared for her to get mad at you though, since she's gotten used to not waking herself up. Hold your ground, you need your sleep, and maybe ask yourself if there's any other ways realize that she's being disrespectful. Yeah, honestly, this one's kind of a hard situation for me. I feel like the wife that she's talking about, there's two wives, so this is a little bit confusing, but the wife that she's talking about is being very disrespectful, and I feel like she's just not being considerate of the other person in the relationship, which is a major red flag. I kind of agree. You should maybe, like, if you've had a conversation about it and she won't change anything, I feel like there's like a deeper underlying issue that you and her have to work out and figure that out. I also agree, maybe just sleeping in different rooms could work. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. That's a hard situation, but I guess we're gonna move on to the next one. What do you do when you're innocent but your girlfriend accuses you of cheating? I never thought I'd post something like this, but I am really frustrated and looking for some advice or insight. I've always been a chill, loyal, and positive guy. I don't spend time on Instagram, Snapchat, or Facebook. I'm too busy with life, work, and studies to be active on any social medias. My time is very limited and I try to use it as wisely as I can. One day, I was working on a university project with a group and they needed my Gmail account to collaborate on a shared workspace. My Gmail is connected to some older social media apps like Snapchat, Instagram, and a few other ones. I didn't think much of it because I rarely use them. Later on, my girlfriend somehow accessed my Gmail with my permission and from there opened my Snapchat. She saw some old messages or contacts, including my ex's number, and immediately jumped to the conclusion that I was cheating. She honestly really didn't give me a chance to explain myself. I tried telling her that I wasn't doing anything wrong, that those messages weren't recent and I haven't contacted my ex, but she's still just accusing me. I even asked her, if I was hiding something, why would I give you access to my Gmail at all? That's the serious part. I had nothing to hide. We argued for over 3 days straight. It left me completely mentally drained and frustrated. I feel powerless. No matter what I said, she labeled me a cheater. I don't know how I can prove otherwise. It hurt a lot because I've always been loyal in all of my relationships. After days of stress and blame, I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I told her, we can't continue this relationship. This is too toxic. Then she started crying and begging me not to leave, saying she made a mistake and would never do it again. Now I'm confused and honestly just hurt. I've started watching YouTube lectures on relationships and mental health. I'm also trying apps like Mindway. It's very helpful, but now I've decided to go to therapy or personal development training to work on myself. I don't want to have to carry around the stress of being the only one in future relationships, which is why I'm going through all this. But I still wonder to myself, was I wrong to walk away? Can trust ever come back once it's broken like that? And how do I stop getting into these negative emotional loops? If anyone's been through something similar or has real advice, I'd really appreciate hearing your thoughts. I'm just trying to heal, grow, and move forward in the healthiest way possible. So a comment responding to this one says, you did nothing wrong, and honestly, your reaction shows strength, not weakness. Many people would have lashed out or played mind games in return, but you stayed calm, gave her full access, and even tried to explain. That is real loyalty. The fact that you're now focused on yourself is absolutely amazing. Another comment says, I know exactly what you mean when you say you felt powerless. I went through the same thing, almost identical. My ex also found old messages that meant nothing. She accused, yelled, cried, and over time, I felt like I had no voice left. The worst part was the feeling like I had to defend my integrity to someone who had already made up their mind. That kind of emotional whiplash leaves a deep mark. After I left, I spent weeks second guessing my decision. I journaled obsessively, spiraled a bit, then eventually found the app in a forum. It didn't fix anything overnight, but it helped me reflect without ruminating, and it reminds me that sometimes peace feels unfamiliar because we're used to chaos and trust. Okay, so now that I'm reading all these comments, I feel like this is a promotion for the Mindway app because all these comments are talking about Mindway. I've never heard of this Mindway app, but that's interesting. Okay, so we're gonna act like this is a real story, even though I don't think it is now. So honestly, in this situation, if you did sit down and just try to have a conversation with your girlfriend and she didn't like do anything about it and wouldn't calm down and stop accusing you, even though there was literally no evidence to back anything up, I feel like that's just the point you have to walk away from the relationship. Because yeah, like he said, it is very mentally draining, and just putting yourself through that isn't worth the relationship you could salvage out of it. Okay, so the next story we got here. I told my married friend his wife had an emotional affair. Now I'm the villain, but I know I did the right thing. I personally never thought I'd be in this position, but I had to make a call. Either protect a friend or stay silent about something that was clearly wrong. One of my close friends, let's call him Eli, is married to a woman called Maya, who over time developed a highly inappropriate friendship with a guy that we all know. I'm gonna call this guy Chris. At first, it seemed harmless, but it slowly became clear that this was no ordinary friendship. It was emotional cheating, plain and simple. They called each other and talked daily for hours. They vented, confided, laughed late into the night. I even found out that they had shared intimate photos with each other. This isn't speculation, it is 100% true. Chris even admitted it. Still, he insists it was just jokes between them. But we all know there's nothing funny about that kind of exchange between a married woman and another man. What disturbed me most was that Eli had no idea. He trusted both of them, his wife and his so-called friend. Meanwhile, they were building a secret sexually charged emotional bond behind his back. I couldn't stay quiet, so I told Eli everything I knew. He was shaken, hurt, but also confused because Maya and Chris tried to flip the narrative. They denied, downplayed, and tried to cast doubts on my motives. They accused me of just trying to stir up things, trying to ruin their friendship. Then just weeks later, she invited him into their home again to talk things through, and he actually went. That's when it hit me. They don't feel guilty, they feel entitled to their secret dynamic. And now I'm the one that's cut off. Chris stopped talking to me completely. Maya told others I was making things up out of spite, but I know what I saw, and I'd rather lose them than lie to myself. The kicker, they still act like nothing happened, still play innocent, still call what they had a friendship. But I know emotional cheating when I see it, and if I hadn't said anything, Eli would still be in the dark, while they kept sneaking around under the illusion of trust. I don't regret speaking up, but sometimes I wonder, did I do enough, or should I have gathered more evidence before saying anything? So one of the comments back says, you did the right thing. Sadly, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. If your friend wants to bury his head in the sand, then so be it. But at least he was given the information. If he gets burned, which he will, it's all on him. Another comment says, you did the right thing, and Chris will realize it someday too. It will come to light because Chris, even though he's in denial, is going to start seeing the red flags he missed before. Also, your so-called friends weren't very good people, so maybe it's a good thing that they're no longer in your life, but it's painful being cut off from your friends that way regardless. Another commenter said, reality is you could have showed him all the proof and it wouldn't have made a difference. He doesn't want to acknowledge it. They don't want him to either. There's an initial shock phase. Play the long game, let them go quiet, understand that it's incredibly embarrassing for him. Don't be surprised if he shows up with a hat in hand someday. So yeah, I kind of totally agree with all these comments. I think that the guy who made the original post is 100% right about this. He did the right thing. I know if I would be in a relationship and my girl's cheating on me, I would definitely want my friends to tell me if they knew about it. So I would say he did a great thing. It sucks you lost the friends, I guess, but also those aren't the kind of people you want to be friends with anyways. So that's just my 2 cents. Okay, this next one looks really juicy, really interesting. So let's just jump into it. My wife and I, both in our 40s, have been married 15 years and have 3 kids together. Until yesterday, I never had a reason to suspect infidelity. But here's what happened. When we bought a new car back in 2021, it came with LoJack already installed. I have the app on my phone but have rarely ever used it. Yesterday, I happened to look at it just to see if my wife had remembered to take our daughter to her soccer lesson. She had. But what was weird is she was driving in the area I work about 45 minutes north of our home. She had said she was working in the afternoon, which is in the opposite direction. At that point, my attention was piqued. I went back through previous days on LoJack to see if she was ever in the area previously. I found 8 times in the last 2 months, all at the same apartment complex. Sometimes she'd be there for an hour, sometimes up to 5 or even 6 hours. I checked our family calendar app, and some of the times it said she had worked that day, like yesterday, and other times it was days when I was busy taking the kids someplace. So then I get home from work and have to take my daughter to her game, only to find she forgot her equipment in my wife's car. Call my wife, she says she'll leave work and drop it off at the field. I looked it up on GPS. It would take an hour and a half to get to the field in rush hour traffic from her work, but only an hour from where LoJack says she is. Needless to say, she miraculously showed up in an hour. I haven't confronted her about any of this so far. All I know for sure is that she's lying to me and going to someone else's apartment. I feel completely betrayed and I'm in panic mode debating the next step. I don't think I can just ask her what's going on, as it would likely get turned around on me and I'll be blamed for not trusting her. The thing is, I need more proof. Do I keep a close eye on her location and show up to the apartment the next time it happens? Running the scenarios through my head and trying to figure out the best plan of action. Any advice is greatly appreciated. So one of the comments says, she is cheating. Get a lawyer, collect evidence, and put the divorce papers on the table. That's so obvious she has an affair. Don't confront her. Better hire a private investigator. Another comment says, she is 100% cheating. One night stand is a thing. This is beyond that. This is a full-fledged affair. People say things can get better, but really they never do. Just my opinion. Years and years later, you will still be thinking about it and you won't get it out of your head if you ever fully trust her again. I just want you to be prepared for what is to come. That is coming from someone literally over 10 years later. It never goes away and there's never a day I don't think about it. Okay, dude, that last comment, kind of sad. I feel sorry for that guy, but yeah, it really does not look good for the wife. I feel pretty confidently, why would she be lying about her location? So first of all, if she isn't cheating, like let's give her the benefit of the doubt, say she's not cheating. Why is she lying about her location 8 times in 1 year? Like that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know what I would do there. I've never been married. I'm not 40 years old, so I feel like I'm not good for this advice, but that's definitely got to be a hard situation to go through. Okay, so I guess I'm just going down the rabbit hole of cheating or affairs now. So next story here. I caught my husband having phone sex with his AP one night around 3 a.m. in his man cave. I grabbed the phone and asked who was on the phone. He kept saying no one. I swear, over and over and over. I called the number back and of course it was a woman named Anna. I then proceeded to look at his text, and they were sexting naked pics back and forth to each other. My husband was calling her his goddess. He told me that he met her at Kroger. She said they worked together at the juvenile detention center where my husband works at. She's a nurse like me, a redhead like me, a smoker like me. I told him, hell, as much as my dad has cheated on my mom, she's probably my half-sister. Then another night, I looked through his phone again, and I found out that they actually didn't even work together. They met on FetLife, and I had been talking and together for 2.5 years. I asked him about it, and all he said was he forgot. How do you forget over 2.5 years of your life? He told her all kinds of shit about me, not being a good wife, taking advantage of him, not giving him sex, all kinds of stuff. We were trying to work things out with the marriage counseling and individual counseling and other things, but he still will not stop with the emotional cheating of looking at women's pictures. I just found one just a few minutes ago. I've told him several times that it has to stop. I don't know what else to do. I'm at my limit, but I also don't want to be alone. I'm handicapped and need help. Should we just get divorced and live as roommates, or divorce and don't see each other at all? I'm 51, he is 45, AP was 30. So a comment response to this says, sounds like he is truly not trying to stop. He is simply going through the motions to get you off his back. Marriage counseling is not going to work if he refuses to stop. Honestly, I would start separating your finances. I'm afraid that you are the only one actually trying to save your marriage. I'm sorry you are going through this. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of completely agree with that comment. I think I would start like trying to figure out a way out, because it's not easy to get out of a situation like that. I understand, but at least trying to figure something out. I would start there. I agree. He's probably not going to change. He definitely has the opportunity to. If he truly cared about you and loved you, he definitely would be changing. I would move on. Okay, so we're gonna change it up a little bit. Now we're on r/toxic relationships. Is toxic to healthy possible, and how do I tell my family now that they don't want me seeing this person? I guess I just want to lay everything out on the table, get advice from some outsiders. I'm a 29 female, single mom, 9-year-old son. My ex is 29 as well. When we first started seeing each other 5 years ago, we were both in stages of our lives where we were drinking a lot and sort of in the party scenes. I wasn't a single mom at the time. My son's dad was very involved in his life. My son's dad and my ex are two different people, just to clarify. My ex and I were just unhealthy. We both had traumas from our childhoods and triggered each other. Things I did triggered him, and things he did triggered me. Our communication was horrible, and I never felt heard, understood, or seen by him. He would often criticize me. I seem to have some kind of pull towards men that I don't think I'm enough. Gotta love daddy issues. I felt manipulated by him in a way that he would say what I wanted, but actions didn't usually reflect that through time. We also both have extremely different attachment styles. I'm a fearful avoidant and run fast as hell every time my nervous system doesn't feel safe. He's an anxious attachment and just wants to fix everything right then and there. In the beginning of our relationship, we had some trust issues. Not because he cheated, but because I wasn't ready for commitment. He wasn't cheating or seeing anyone else, but he liked girls' photos, did things that made me feel like his eyes wandered, that created a dynamic where I just didn't trust him. I wanted to run, but still felt so safe and comfortable with him that was basically the idea of us running off together. Over time, I would run. He would chase and fix, and we did that on repeat for 5 years. Lots of criticism and manipulation to keep me around. I didn't feel like he even actually liked who I was at my core, but liked the idea of me being his. My family and friends hated seeing what I became when I was with him. I gained a bunch of weight, became super depressed, and my nervous system was an absolute wreck. Very triggerable, very unwell. 6 months ago, me and him split. I'd done quite a bit of research on healing and nervous system, and regulation was so done feeling like I was just completely drained in the relationship that is supposed to be my most intimate connection. In the last 6 months, I lost a bunch of weight, started writing again, meditating, eating right, going to the gym, and regulating my system through mindful awareness. I feel my mindset and lifestyle has completely shifted, and I actually feel like I can see clearly and feel like myself again. Now for the kicker. We just reconnected recently. He's been in therapy. His words and actions are making me feel more seen, understood, and valued. I don't want to be a broken record and be like, this time feels different, because I can't even count the amount of times that I've said that. But this far has been 1,000 times more patient with me than before. I'm okay with reconnecting. He's constantly speaking to my value as a woman, and I can tell he's truly taking the time to understand me and how I'm feeling. He's validating me, makes me feel safe, and he's leading through my big emotions. He understands my attachment style, is putting effort in to make sure I feel safe, even if that means running for 10 minutes when something feels or makes me feel uneasy. I feel like he's making space for me in ways he didn't before, and in return, it feels like it's opening a door for me to heal. I've been much more willing to communicate and acknowledge ways I need to grow or things I'm doing wrong. I feel like I'm being led into a phase of healing. He just feels so much more mature, healed, and aware of his problems. When problems are coming up, we are pausing and working through them, and we never have before. Meeting in the middle like it's us against the issue versus us against each other like we did in the past. On top of it all, my son is very happy he's back impact in both of our lives. Personally, I feel nervous to even tell my family and friends. They care so much for me and they watch me run in loops with this man. I'm also fearful that there is manipulation happening and it's just saying things, all this until I'm comfortable, and then things will go back to the way that they were. I'm trying my best to keep my eyes clear, but in the moment, it's easy to be blinded by how much you care for someone. I just want to put it out there that there was never any cheating or physical abuse in our relationship. Our toxicity was on both ends, and we were always so wrapped up in our own emotions and didn't make time for the other person. He never laid a hand on me, and I've always felt very physically safe with him. It was emotionally that I didn't feel safe. Okay, so one of the comments responding says, my toxic relationship is so similar to yours. I recently looked up if there's a reunification after abuse. It's rare. We've been married for 2 years, together for 10. It's been rocky since 3 months in, and I've never felt more alone. We constantly fight. He drinks. I quit because of the gaslighting and emotional abuse. I know it's effed with my head more than I already had with my mental health issues. Your guy does sound like he made a tangible change. I wish I had more for that for you to think about. Okay, so in my personal opinion, I feel like people can change. There is a chance this guy did change, so it's okay to have an open mind. It is scary to bring up to your family, though, I will agree. But also, you do have to be careful because, like in a situation like gaslighting is a thing, he could be doing this just to get back with you and then go back to his old ways right after that. So I think you could give him a chance. I think it is definitely a possibility. He changed, he went through therapy, he did all the things he needs to do, but I would also just be careful because it could go either way. Just keep your eyes open, try to keep a clear head, and you could probably move forward. Anyways, that is going to be the end of these Reddit videos. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to like, subscribe, and have a good night's rest.